Update. My boyfriend 21 believes that we shouldn't be together because his female friend told him our zodiac signs are not compatible. Original post. This is slowly getting ridiculous. My boyfriend of 2 years has a female friend. They were close since middle school, so she has been in his life more than most of his other friends. I guess this is why he listens to her and her opinions on a lot of matters, including our own relationship, which I found out recently. What is happening is that every time we've had a fight, he was going to her to vent about our problems. I was okay with this for a long time. Never really thought something would be wrong. They were friends for a long time. I trusted him and wasn't jealous of their friendship. But for a few months, I've noticed a sudden change in my boyfriend's behavior after our fights. Instead of trying to resolve things like we always do, he would get passive-aggressive, ignore me for days, and throws around maybe we should break up quite often. I was really surprised because our fights aren't that serious. For example, ever since we moved in together, we have this agreement that I'm cooking our meals and he cleans everything after. For a week or so, he wouldn't, no matter how many times I've asked, because, as he said, Leos don't like to be pushed around. Yeah, every time we fight, he would just say stupid things like this. So I confronted him yesterday and asked what has gotten into him. Apparently, his female friend has gotten into astrology and decided that we are not compatible, because I'm a Cancer and he's a Leo. He then blamed our little fight on our signs incompatibility and told me that she's pretty spot on with her descriptions of our relationship, and he started to believe that we're not a good match. This is so stupid that I thought he was joking, but nope. Now I'm thinking if this is even something worth fighting for. I don't believe in astrology. I don't think it's an answer to all of the problems that we face, but he is certain that it is because his female friend told him so. I was thinking about meeting up with her, but I don't know if I should. Or maybe with both of them to see what the problem really is. Part of me don't want to throw away this relationship. Those were good 2 years before he started acting like an idiot. But another part of me is bewildered by the amount of stupidity of my boyfriend and his friend. Now for the top advice before reading the update. No, don't meet up with her. Dump your idiot boyfriend. Agree. It sounds like you are young. If that's the case, you have your whole life ahead of you. What would it mean to be married to this guy? Is he going to run to his friend when you fight? Betray personal secrets? Talk about your intimate life. He is already pushing his boundaries. Maybe it was a great 2 years. So what? You aren't throwing anything away. You are discovering what's important to you and what isn't. This guy is the wrong guy. Cut your losses. Agreed. You're 21, OP. You still have so many great years ahead of you. Don't let this dip bog you down. Remember, 30 is the new 20, so you have plenty of time to meet someone else. Yeah, I'd throw that one away. He's either really dumb or he's trying to get out himself. Yeah, probably doesn't have the guts to quit the relationship altogether. Date someone that's not a friggin' moron. This reminds me of a story my dad told me where he went on a date with a girl before he met my mom, and they were talking. And somehow the topic came up that this girl's family had some kind of religious guru that gave them advice on everything in their lives, and they always listened. My dad said something like, "So even if you really want to date me, you won't if your family's guru says not to?" And the girl was like, "Yep, he makes all the final decisions." My dad says he finished out the date, left, and never called her again. It could be his way of finding an out. If he is throwing around suggestions of breaking up during every fight, and now he's using zodiac signs as a reason to break up, then he sounds like he's just looking for reasons to end it. He could very well have feelings for this girl, but even if he doesn't sound like a good boyfriend. I would leave. And now for the update. I've decided to post a follow-up because my original post gained a lot of attention. I've received plenty of advice and many things have happened ever since then. Be prepared for a long ride. This whole situation is a great lesson to me, and I'm working on myself to stop being so naive and gullible. We are not together anymore, which is a good thing, but we didn't break up right away. I ended up confronting my boyfriend about his friend, her input in our relationship, and him seeking validation from her. As many of you have guessed, there was much more to their friendship that I knew about. I'm not sure how far they went to this day, but to the people that were saying that they're using this whole zodiac incompatibility as an excuse, you were right. We took a break at first, because when I've decided that I want to end things on my own terms, my now ex-boyfriend switched the narrative. Surprisingly enough, he decided he's not ready to let me go, and that he will cut out his friend if it meant we would stay together. And I was stupid enough to believe him. 1 week later, I've decided that I will give my boyfriend another chance. We decided on new boundaries and everything was going smooth for first 2 weeks. That's until I noticed that my boyfriend is being suspicious with his phone, taking it with him even when he's taking a bath. One time he forgot to mute his phone, and I've heard a Facebook Messenger signal coming from the bathroom while he was supposedly taking a bath. I've never ever checked his phone before, and I wasn't planning to, so I just asked him to show me his messages. I guess he was surprised because I never was the type to check what he's up to, so he got quite defensive, but I wasn't planning on giving up. We had a whole argument about me not trusting him, to which I agreed that I don't, and he should just show me his phone so we can be done with it. And he did. And guess what I found out? That he's still in contact with his astrology-obsessed friend, and their conversations aren't exactly a friendly banter. Me finding out led to even more of an argument, in which my boyfriend admitted to cheating on me with his friend, blamed it on me being a Cancer and him being a Leo again, then proceeded to tell me the only reason why he was fighting to stay with me is because, as a Cancer, I'm very homely, and living with me is great, but I don't give him the thrill that his Sagittarius friend is giving him. So yeah, I kicked him out. I'm on the lease anyways. And when he tried to argue to let him stay for a few days until he finds his own apartment, I told him that as a Cancer, I'm not sure I can control my emotions and don't end him in his sleep. That's how my ex became my ex. And what I've learned from this? 1. To avoid anyone who believes in astrology as a romantic partner. 2. To be more wary of my future partner's friendships, as many things may not be what they seem. Dear God, I hope you find someone with more brain cells than him. How Scorpio of you. Every time I hear a story about a cheater and astrology, they are a goddamn Leo. Well, my ex blamed his narcissistic behavior on being a Sagittarius, which also fits with this narrative. I told him that as a Cancer, I'm not sure I can control my emotions and don't end him in his sleep. Laughing my butt off. That dude is whack, and his friend is weirder. Bullet dodged again, Neo. I think astrology is kind of cool, but to purely base your relationship off it is just ignorant. At least they will be happy together. Next story. My 20 female, boyfriend 19 male, has slept with his girl best friend. My boyfriend and I met 7 months ago, and we made it official 4 months ago. When we first started seeing each other, he told me he had slept with his girl best friend. Keep in mind, this was first year of university, so they have known each other for less than a year. I was fine with it, because, it was before we met, but it was a bit uncomfortable to me. Seeing her all the time and watching them interact together was annoying. They're quite playful, always making fun of each other jokingly, making inside jokes all in front of me, and sometimes it made me feel like I wasn't even there. But at the end of the day, I had no real reason to be mad. A couple months in, I found out they used to cuddle together in bed and fall asleep together as well as the one time they slept together. That made me feel quite weird because, in my opinion, it's more intimate than just sleeping together once. He told me they were both in a bad place and it was just for comfort, but I was still put off by it. I kept my feelings about their friendship to myself because I wanted to like her and not make things difficult for my boyfriend, but she wanted to be really good friends with me oddly and invited me to have drinks with her one night. It was all fine until she told me a couple details about when they slept together, about my boyfriend and his ex, all without me even asking. I brushed it off during the time, but I've thought about it more and more, and wow, I'm so disgusted and livid. I don't understand why anyone would do that. Then I finally told my boyfriend I didn't like their friendship and asked him to just be cautious of how he interacts with her when I'm there, but didn't tell him the details of when her and I met. I specifically told him not to tell her because I didn't want her to think I hated her, which then of course he did without even asking me. I felt that further proved my point and it put her before me. Her response was that I have no reason to be uncomfortable, and she doesn't understand at all why I would feel this way, and that their friendship is completely normal. I felt that she completely dismissed my feelings, and I don't understand how she thinks I'm overreacting. Wouldn't anyone be uncomfortable in my shoes? So I unfollowed her in most social media. Anyways, I started thinking about it a lot again last night, and my blood started to boil so much, and I ended up ranting to my boyfriend about everything. Obviously, there's a small bit of jealousy. Why does he have to be best friends with her? He hasn't even known her for a long time. Why does a photo of them have to be his profile picture and whatnot? However, I think most of my frustrations is quite justified. I just don't know what to do. Whenever I think deeply about it, it makes me push him away. The image of them being intimate makes me want to puke. But now I have these details I didn't ask her. She's still his best friend, so there's no real solution. To be clear, I never asked him to stop being friends with her, and I never would. I just feel so uncomfortable with them being best friends. Not only because they have slept together, but because I feel like she's been disrespectful towards me. I'm sorry this was such a long post, but what should I do? I obviously don't want to break up with him over this, because I know there's actually nothing there between them and he loves me a lot. It's quite weird right now since I'm not speaking to him. But whenever I think about it, I can't help but be cold to my boyfriend and be pissed for a while, which isn't very fair to him. What would you do if you were me, or what do you think I should do? Thank you so much for reading all of this. Her sharing details about when they slept together was wildly inappropriate. And I can't think of a reason she would even do that beyond trying to steer the pot or get you to break up with him. It kind of seems like she's trying to play Miss Innocent but has ulterior motives. I also think it's weird that his profile picture is with her when he's in a relationship with you. Honestly, at this point, I don't see how you would come back from all of this if he is going to remain friends with her. You may be better off ending the relationship. Yeah, I need to think hard about this. Thanks for your insight. Look, I have had a platonic male best friend. I have been in the situation of having a new girlfriend try to force him not to be friends with me. I am sympathetic in general to the idea that people should be able to have meaningful non-romantic relationships with people of the gender to which they are attracted. But this is clearly not that. He has known this girl less than a year. He had slept with her and cuddles with her in that time frame. He prioritizes her feelings over you in public and private? This is not some we dated when we were just kids, but it's been decades and we're strictly friends situation. This is a hookup from, at most, a couple of months before he met you that he still treats as the most important person in his life. I have no idea why they aren't actually dating, but it's okay to acknowledge that the way you're being treated sucks, and that you want to be with someone who cares about you the way he cares about her. Leave them to their weird BS and find better friends. Last story is titled, My 22 male ex 21 female and I broke up over a year ago. I just found out that shortly after the breakup, she messaged my best friend, 22 male, saying she made a mistake and asked if I still cared for her. He told her I was completely over her and proceeded to try and hook up with her. This is a very complicated situation and I wasn't sure how to title it, but that's pretty much the gist of it. I'm looking for advice on whether so long after this happened, I should message her and clear the air in a way. First, I'll start with some context of my friend and my ex. My ex struggled with her mental health and specifically self-sabotage. We were together for 2 years. When she ended it, I was devastated. She just ended it with a text and ghosted me. It made no sense as just a few days before she had brought up the topic of marriage, which I was on board for when we had graduated. We are both in college and are going for master's degrees. The best friend and I have been close for over 10 years. He was my oldest friend. We have been there for each other through thick and thin. I never would have expected a situation like this, but after learning of all the things he has done, I have completely cut him out of my life. Now for what happened. About 2 months ago, I started my first relationship with a new woman since my first ex. After a month, she cheated, so I left. About a week ago, she sent me a screen recording of my friend messaging her begging to hook up. She apparently had the decency to turn him down and warn me of my backstabbing friend. This had me wondering if he had tried it before. So I met him for lunch and asked him if he had talked to this recent ex. He lied and said no. When I showed him the proof, I told him I knew about everything he had done and wanted to hear it from his mouth. He confessed. Next, I asked him to tell me about what he had done with my first ex, still claiming that I knew and in reality it was just a hunch. He told me that just a month after we had broken up, she sent him a message, telling him she had made a mistake and asking him if I would be willing to take her back. He was my roommate and best friend at the time, so it makes sense why she would test the waters with him. He responded to her by saying that I was already completely over her and had moved on. In fact, he proceeded to try and hook up with her. I'm assuming this is why he told her the lie. She inevitably turned him down as she was never interested in him in the slightest. But she obviously believed him, because since the breakup I have still never received a single message from her. Considering he was my best friend, from her point of view she probably thought I was not only over her, but had given him the go-ahead to pursue her, which obviously was not the case at all. Now I feel like I'm faced with a decision of letting this girl, that if we are being honest I still care for, know the truth, or living with the fact that she probably thinks the 2 years we spent together was a complete lie, and that I cared about her so little that I was okay with my friend trying to hook up with her. What should I do? As I mentioned, I cut the friend out of my life completely, and other than the utter betrayal that hurts me to my soul, I am no longer concerned with him. Now for the advice. I would go clear it up and explain what you just found out with her. Do not go with any expectations of resuming a relationship with her. Just inform her that you felt she had the right to know he outright lied to her. Leave the ball in her court with regards to whether or not anything happens from there. If she asks how you feel now, tell her the truth, but let her know it's up to her to decide whether or not she wants to try again. If she doesn't inquire but just thanks you, wish her well and move on. I think this is probably the right thing to do. I just don't know if I actually have the strength to message her after so long about such a messed up situation. The thought of this situation has really torn me to shreds. I don't have any hopes or intentions of getting back together though, so regardless of what she replies, I'm not expecting anything. Oof, time to get a new best friend. For real. Luckily, I have some really great friends that have been giving me advice about the situation. Just looking for unbiased advice right now. Do I message her and clear the air after so long? Do it if you meet one of two criteria. She isn't in a relationship and you aren't wanting to get back with her. She isn't in a relationship, you are considering getting back with her, and you know for a fact that she has significantly made progress on her mental issues. The only thing here I know about is that she's not in a relationship. If she were, I would never think about crossing that line. Am I wanting to get back with her? I don't know, to be honest. I still care for her, but I don't think a successful relationship would be possible. I have no clue about her mental health either. I haven't talked to her in over a year. I suppose I have some things to think about.